Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Belief Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you as well. You've got Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to endure pain, ignore the haters, and overcome fears with Dan Lok and my take on his top 50 rules for success, volume 3. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1, endure pain.
Many years ago, I had this conversation with my mentor, and he asked me the question, Dan, what do you think is the #1 quality of an entrepreneur? And I said many things. I said talents, and I said team, and I said good idea. I said many things. He said no. He said, the #1 quality of a successful entrepreneur is this, and that is the ability to endure pain for a long period of time. Didn't talk about the Ferrari, didn't talk about the big house, pain for a long period of time. Is that you? What are you willing to give up? What price are you willing to pay to accomplish success, to build your business? I could tell you, any successful entrepreneurs that I know, almost all of them experience pain for a long period of time before they accomplish even just a little bit of success.
Rule number 2, ignore the haters.
I still get like comments, YouTube, like racist shit, right? I look like Psy, I look like Kim Jong-un. Oh my God, I love my right? Wow. Every day, I get that shit. That's okay. That's okay. They're not who I want to impact. Right. I see. Remember, if you have 1 million people watching your content, 10% don't like you, that's 100,000 people. When I have 10 million people watching my content, that's 1 million people not liking me. Yeah. That's a lot of people.
It's quite a lot, yes.
A million people like, and because Sifu is so direct and blunt and provocative, right? Like it's, right? Mm-hmm. So people hate me, really hate me. Like it's not like, oh, I kind of don't like this. I hate your God. Like you die, like it's like very like direct stuff, right? Because it irks them, right? Yeah. But at the same time, keep watching my stuff. It's hilarious how it works.
I see.
Like I have haters, everything, like same hate comment, you suck. Watch all my video. Like I upload 9 a.m. You can see like negative comment right there, same dude, right?
Fast. They're essentially your fans.
They're like thumbs down immediately. What the is going on? They don't watch my stuff, but they keep watching my stuff.
Rule number 3, overcome fears.
You see, what holds a lot of people back is fear. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of making a mistake. Think about it. Before you do something, you're saying to yourself, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if I lose money? And what if I make a mistake? Then what happens? What if I don't know what to do? What if I can't figure this out? Then what if it does work? You see, always remember, fear is an acronym. It stands for false evidence appearing real. It's nothing more than a made-up story in your own mind. So do you have the fearful ego holding you back?
Rule number 4, start with gratitude.
I thought that happiness is a destination. If I get to some place, I make certain amount of money, if I own certain amount of things, then I would be happy. Then I realized as I'm now older and a little bit more mature, and a little bit wiser, that happiness is not something that you seek. It's something that's already within you. But a lot of time we are blocking it. So you think about why people are depressed, why people are unhappy. Usually it's because when their expectation, because you have a certain expectation of how your life should look like, where you should be by this point, and your reality. When your expectation and your reality, when they don't match up, you get depressed. You feel very unhappy because this is where you are, this is where you think you should be. And the bigger this gap, the more unhappy you are. So to be happier, you can do two things. You can either lower your expectation so then your gap is not as large. Example, you want to make $1 billion and you're making now $1,000 a month. Well, you will feel very unhappy. Very, very much unhappy because you think this is where I should be and this is where I'm at. Well, if you lower expectation, well, instead of $100, you lower expectation, I'm gonna make $102, right? And now you're making 100. Okay, now you're not so bad. I'm only short $2, right? That's okay. So you can lower expectation, which is what you can do. Or you can now change your reality. How you can shorten the gap, right? That's what an achiever does. How do you match? How do you push and challenge your reality to match to your expectation? You could do that. Or the other way that I look at it is this. When I start the day with attitude of gratitude, coming from a place of giving, coming from a place of love, coming from a place of I have enough, right? I have enough. Because whatever your goal is, you're getting the same thing but just more, right? You have one car, you want 2 cars, you want 3 cars, but it's the same thing. If you're not grateful, you don't appreciate what you have now, you're not going to appreciate what you'll get then. So I am grateful with what I have. I start with that while achieving what I want, right? I'm grateful with what I have while achieving what I want next. When I start from this place, I just find that I'm much happier. Like today, I'm a happy guy, believe me.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
That's a problem with young people. You're not good at anything. Oh, I'm so good. No, tell me the truth. You're not good at anything. After you practice martial art, you develop this natural self-confidence. Not cockiness, but you develop this natural self-confidence. Remember this, your business is always a reflection of you.
Rule number 5, have a big vision.
To be a great leader, to inspire other people, here's what I believe in, that you must have something that is bigger than yourself in order to inspire people, in order to enroll people into your vision. Example, if you talk to your employee, you talk to your team member, and you say, hey, you know what, this is why we're doing this, so that I could make enough money so that I could retire, or so that I could build this business, so that I could be living the 10-hour work week or 12-hour work week to be a lifestyle entrepreneur. See, that doesn't inspire anybody because it's all about me, 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 me. So to be a great leader, to inspire other people, you gotta have a vision that is so big, that's so compelling that other people want to be part of that. Right? It's like, imagine you are the captain of this ship and you're saying, hey, this is where we're going. We're going to this island and it's going to be great. And we are going to have all these great things when we get there. And that's like, wow, people look at that and say, yeah, I want to be part of that. Right? I want to join this journey. I want to join alongside and be alongside with you. And maybe there's some obstacles. There will always be challenges. There will be waves in the ocean, but that's okay. I want to join you and help you to fight along and be alongside with you going through this journey. So I believe very much that leader needs to think about what is your mission.
Rule number 6, understand the industry.
Don't start a business if you don't understand the industry. I always ask this question before you start any business, and that is, and I'm asking you right now, why you and why now? If your answer is, oh, I just want to make some money, you're gonna fail. Why you and why now? What qualifies you to be in this space right now? Not what you just saw on Facebook. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. This person, this guy is making so much money doing this, I should jump into that too. No, why you and why now? In order to make money in any industry, you have to understand the industry. If you don't know the industry, first you have to learn the industry. Let's say you want to go open up a restaurant. And I'm not saying that's a good idea, but let's say you want to open up a restaurant. Well, isn't it a good idea to just go work at a restaurant? See, what's the day-to-day operation like? What's it like to work in a restaurant before you open up a restaurant? So you have to know your industry.
Rule number 7, don't be the know-it-all person.
See, when I was broke, I thought I know it all. I don't need to read books. I know what I'm doing. I was starting all these businesses, and guess what? None of them worked. because I thought I knew what I was talking about. Guess what? I didn't know shit. Okay, you don't know shit. See, the know-it-all, always thinking they know everything. Keep doing the same thing again and again and expect a different result. That's the very definition of insanity.
Rule number 8, build work-life integration.
When you are an entrepreneur, right? When you are running your own company, it is not something that you do, it's who you are. When it's who you are, this doesn't turn off. There's no such thing as, oh, well, you know, I don't want to work on weekends, I take the 2-week vacation. When you're entrepreneur, you're going all the time. Because as I always say, that's why I don't watch sports. I don't need to watch sports to get some cheap thrill. Entrepreneurship, it is the most competitive sport in the world. Because when you watch any sport game, guess what? You're playing for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever how much amount of time. Well, with entrepreneur, 24/7, someone somewhere is trying to kick your ass. Someone somewhere, they're trying to steal your customers. They are trying to grab market share. It is 24/7. So we have to be thinking about how can we be better? How can we serve our customer better? How can we deliver more value? This is ongoing. There's no work-life balance or how to separate the two. I don't build my life around my business. I build my business around my lifestyle preference. So right now I'm going somewhere. I'm going to do an interview. I'm filming, I'm creating content, I'm connecting with you. That's integration. When I'm traveling for business. At the same time, I will be travel for pleasure, take a few days off. It's integration. Versus I work. Oh my God, man, I can't take this no more. I need to escape from this. I need to avoid this. I need to go somewhere. And then from there, I need to totally unplug. So don't bother me for a week. Oh man, I'll take a vacation. I'm sitting on the beach doing nothing, and then come back. Oh my God, man, you gotta dragging your feet. Now you gotta get back to work. It doesn't work that way. So I would find a time in between. How do I recharge my battery? Now in my case, I like movies. So I don't need to take 2 weeks off in order to recharge. What I need is maybe Jenny and I, we go to watch a movie 2 hours, I'm recharged. A good night's sleep, I'm recharged. And back in the game.
Rule number 9, get out of your comfort zone.
Things are fine. I don't need to be that ambitious. Well, that's the problem. Your income zone is your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is your income zone. When you get complacent, when you get comfortable, you are not growing. Remember, when you're not growing, you are dying. So do you have this ego that is holding you back right now? And what are you going to do about it?
Rule number 10, create a legacy.
When did you realize in your platform closing career, your speaking career, like that's all I'm going to focus on? Impact and serving.
Well, there are 2 incidents that happened, right? So first is when I hit 30 years old. That one day I got in the morning, tears coming down my cheek.
Yes.
And I was crying. I don't know why I was crying. I would just have this depression coming over me, which I don't get depressed.
Right.
It doesn't happen to me. And I realized up to that point, the way I lived my life, that I've grown a company and made a lot of money, but I wasn't being who I wanted to be, right? Because I was 20 to 30 years old. Like the seafood that you see today, more and more pearl. But you can see from time to time I have that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, ability to
But I was
carry
all
on.
that before.
Yeah.
I was all that, like that, right? I was that and more.
Okay.
Wasn't treating very people very nice.
Okay.
Wasn't just arrogant because I felt I'm so smart, and I'm smart, but it's a wrong attitude, right? So when I hit 30 years old, when that happens, depression, and that's when I realized, okay, I need to look for something else. So remember, like both mom and dad, they're pearls, right? And my Big Dan, my mentor, is like extreme ruby, right? You guys know?
Yes.
Ruby.
I personally.
Yeah. So I thought that was the way you have to be successful. I didn't have any other role model. I didn't have 5 father figure. So from there, I tried to be Big Dan.
Okay.
Like do what he does and all that, and it wasn't. And I got to a certain point, but I wasn't happy. So that was first turning point.
Right.
Okay, so then I realized I went to deep dive in terms of spiritual work, in terms of even religious work. Did a lot of studying. and I found my kind of new path, right? So that's number one. Second is when my father passed away, right? When I was chasing a deal. That was just chasing the next success, and I thought that would make him proud. Well, in fact, he passed away. I missed that chance. That's when I realized that's not what life is about. Because when my father passed away, I'm like, okay, it's real. Like the people closest to you, they could leave. And then now I started asking, what's my legacy, right? What I want to be, right? Do I want to keep going? I can make a lot of money, which I'm very good at making money, no problem, right? But then I would think about one thing that also when I went to the Bruce Lee grave in Seattle, right? You know, I was there. Every 5 minutes, there's someone going there. Every 5 minutes, after all these years, every 5 minutes, from all kinds of backgrounds, from all kinds of countries, people bring flowers and all that. I'm like, that's a legacy, right? That's a legacy. He's an iconic martial artist actor that lives throughout this age, right? And I'm like, I'm not saying like I'm Bruce Lee or anything. I'm just saying that, wow, right? So that inspires me. That's when I shift my focus into.
Rule number 11, build self-esteem.
Here's the number one success secret that no one talks about and no one shares. This is something I've learned from my mentor, Dan Lok, the $50 billion man. Self-esteem is the foundation of all success. Now, I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm not talking about pride. I'm not even talking about just confidence. I'm talking about self-esteem. Now, what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is something that your parents didn't give you. Think about when you're growing up, when you want to do something, when you want to take some risk. What did your parents, what did your friends, what did they tell you? You're not trained for this. No one in our family is an entrepreneur, or you don't have enough education, or you don't know the right people. Just be content, right? Be happy with what you have. Or, hey, son, I want you to be successful, but not too successful. I want you to think about what is holding you back, the goals that you have that you want to achieve. Why don't you do what you know deep down that you are supposed to do? Why don't you take that risk? Why don't you start that business? What's stopping you? Because you lack self-esteem. Now, the next question you might have, Sifu Dan, how do I build my self-esteem? Let me give you a perfect example. Let's say you have a friend of yours, and he tells you all the time, hey man, let's hang out. I say, okay, you know what, let's hang out, let's go grab a drink, let's go, go for a hike. Every single time he says, okay, let's do something, he would cancel on you. And that happens again and again and again. So let me ask you a question. If that happens all the time, how would you feel about this friend, this person? Would you trust him or her? Not so much. The reason you don't have high self-esteem because you have a lousy track record. Meaning, how many times you promise yourself that you're going to do something, but you don't? How many times you make promises to yourself and you don't deliver? You don't follow through on those promises. Then guess what? When you do this enough, for enough times, for enough years, you have low self-esteem because you know yourself. Well, yeah, I guess I want to do that, but I'm not going to follow through. I'm not going to make it happen. And that's why your self-esteem is low. You don't even believe in yourself. Little things, big things, you make a promise to yourself and you deliver.
Rule number 12, be driven.
Successful people are incredibly driven. How driven are you? Now, I'm not talking about you being a nightmare to work with or bullying other people. I'm talking about you pushing yourself to get results. It's your personal drive that turns your ideas into actions, into results. It is your personal drive that keeps you going when things get tough. It is your personal drive that enables you to bounce back from disappointment, from setback. So how driven are you? Or are you lazy? Do you procrastinate? Do you put things off? You see, for the first 5 years of my career, I didn't take a single day off. I was working 10, 12, 14 hours every single day for 5 years straight. Why? Because I was driven. I was driven to provide for my family. I was driven to prove other people wrong. And today, I am driven by my mission. How driven are you?
Rule number 13, don't be negative.
You are walking down the street and suddenly you hear, and suddenly you see a red Ferrari just drove by. What's the first thought that comes through your mind? Comment below. No filter, no edit, just comment below. What's the very first thought that comes to your mind? My guess is, chances are, he's an asshole. Who does he think he is? So cocky, so selfish, probably a greedy bastard. Actually, you know what? Probably it's not his money anyway, it's his daddy's money. Or if it's a lady, it's a woman, oh, that's a gold digger, right? All these negativities, guess what? That's you judging other people. My question to you is, how do you know? How do you know? It's all made up stories in your mind, right? And you say, oh, he's not that good, she's not that pretty, he's not that smart. You're judging other people. You're projecting your own insecurities, your own values onto other people. How do you know that man is not a hardworking man? How do you know he's not a good husband? How do you know he's not a family man? How do you know he's someone who's worked 20, 30 years to get to where he is at this point? How do you know? You judge, you come to your own conclusions before even talking to the person. You see how your mind works? How are you gonna be successful? How are you ever gonna become rich if that's the image that you have for people who are successful?
Rule number 14, do what works for you.
You see this on social media very often. People talk about the morning ritual or waking up very, very early in the morning, because all successful people, they all wake up in the morning. So do you actually need to wake up early in the morning to be successful? That's one of the problems with people don't know how to filter advice. Now, are there a lot of people who are successful who wake up in the morning? Absolutely. But are there also a lot of people who are successful who don't wake up in the morning? Absolutely, right? But it's this propaganda on social media that people focus so much on that. Success has to do with your habits, what you do on a consistent basis. And you have to know what time in the day that you're the most productive. For some people, it is early in the morning where there's no distraction. There's people are still sleeping and you go through the day, maybe you go work out, maybe you do meditation, then you plan the day, that's fine. For some people, they don't wake up early, they wake up whatever time and then they work late at night. They're more like a night owl. I'm more like a night owl. I find that I'm the most creative late at night when it's quiet, when there's no noise, right? When there's not a lot going on. I find that those quiet times sometimes become my thinking time. So that's what works for me. I think you need to find what works for you. Doesn't matter whose advice you're getting from. It could be from me, it could be from anybody else, but you have to know yourself enough. If it doesn't work for you, if you get up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired, you're sleepy, you're exhausted, and for many, many days, and that's just like, it screws up your biological clock, then it doesn't work for you. And that's kind of one thing that I gravitate towards Bruce Lee's martial art. As you follow my work, you know I'm a martial artist, that Bruce is always about you finding your own path. That's why he said his martial art style is not a style, it's a set of principles. You define what works for you. Absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is eventually on your own.
Rule number 15, practice martial arts.
The fact I like martial art because it's not a physical sport.
True.
It's a mental sport.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, well, you can play tennis or you can play golf, you can play all that. It's nice.
Yep.
But martial art is a sport where, let's say I'm hitting a heavy bag.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter how good you get, you're competing with yourself. Right?
That's right.
And it's all about eliminating your own defect. I could throw a punch. Well, I can throw a punch, but can I hit it with speed? Right? Can I hit it with power?
That's
can I hit
right.
all that I need to learn and practice and do all that stuff. So I love that part of it, and it's a never-ending challenge. It's never good. It's never good enough. You find someone that can do it faster, bigger, like stronger.
Right. For sure.
So I love that aspect.
There's always someone that's going to be better than you.
And I can go super philosophical.
Right.
Where I can not have about physical, I can just go all philosophical with it, and I can do that extreme. And I love that crazy deep dive of life and philosophy.
Excellent.
I love that aspect of it.
Love it.
Rule number 16, don't make excuses.
You can make money or you can make excuses, but you cannot do both. An excuse is nothing more than a well-planted lie. You see the excuses ego says, well, I can't afford it, I don't have money, right? Or that's too far, or that's too difficult, I don't have enough experience. It's always I can't, or I don't know how. You see, you could have a million excuses why you cannot do something. You only need one damn good reason why you must do it.
Rule number 17, don't fear failure.
One of the things that holds people back that I believe is fear. Fear of failure. I want you to ask yourself this question. What would you do differently if you knew you couldn't fail? Would you take more risk? Would you be more aggressive? You don't need to be afraid of failure. I'll give you a perfect example. When I was making an offer, when I was driving people to take an action and investing in themselves, when I'm speaking to a group of audience, maybe 100 people, 200 people, 500 people, on a good day, I might have 10, 15, 20% of the people in the audience, they will take action and they will invest in themselves. So you would say, wow, that's a 20% success rate. Yes, that is a 20% success rate, but the other way to look at this is basically I fail even on a good day, 80% of the time. I would get a rejection. 80% of the audience would say no. In marketing, when you are running traffic, when you're doing your marketing online, let's say you get a 3% conversion, meaning 100 people visits your website, 3% will take action. They say your conversion of 3%. 97% would say no. 97% would not buy, and 97% would not take action. Well, guess what? You have a 97% failure rate. You see, anyone who achieves any kind of success experience failure on a consistent basis.
Rule number 18, overcome adversity.
Whatever you're going through right now, I know may be very, very difficult. And it almost feels like the end of the world, and you're only the world, right? And you're only the world. I want you to imagine that you are now 3 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years from today. And now you're looking back at what's happening right now. And you ask yourself some of these questions. Is this as bad as I thought it is? What can I learn from this? I know it's very difficult. You say, I learn nothing from it. There's nothing I'm learning from this. No. What are some of the lessons you could take away? What are some of the value you get from this, right? It's going to be the most difficult one. What could you be grateful for that this happened to you? And you're like, oh, come on, Dan, there's nothing to be grateful for. This accident happened, this emergency happened, or something tragic that just happened. Like, there's nothing that I could be grateful for. I know, but if there is something you could be grateful for, what could you be grateful for? Ask yourself those questions. Suddenly, that will give you perspective. And when you come back to reality, where you are now, you're looking at a scenario, okay, if it's 10 years from now, maybe it's not as bad. Imagine even things that happened to you in the past, the adversities that you experienced in the past. Think about that. It could be 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. Back then, that felt like the end of the world. That felt like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to you back then. Now, looking today, looking back then, how do you feel about those incidents? My bet is this: it is not as bad as you thought, and you learn a lot from it, and probably you find something that you could be grateful for. That adversity turns out to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to you.
Rule number 19, master the skill of communication.
Back then, when I was going to high school in Canada, in Vancouver, I had no friends, right? Because I was very much an introvert. I was very shy because I couldn't speak the language. When I first arrived to this country, I couldn't speak a word of English. So I was very afraid to talk to people. Of course, when you're afraid to talk to people, no one would listen. And I remember I would try to communicate very, very even simple language, simple words with my classmates. And they were like, what? What are you saying? part of me, and I would have to repeat the same thing 3, 4, 5 times, and because they just won't listen. And eventually they pretty much just lose their patience. They're like, I can't understand you, man. I can't understand what you're talking about. So they don't want to talk to me because they feel it's very troublesome for them, right? So I know for a fact when you see what I do when I'm now communicating with you, that I can speak, I can command an audience, and our fans, from all over the world, that communication, this is a learnable skill. It is a what? It's a learnable skill. This is something that you could learn. I could go from someone who's a total introvert, shy, no one would listen to me, to now that people would listen to what I have to say, right?
Rule number 20, be yourself.
Number 10, the fake ego. Have you ever met someone that you don't know them, but the minute you meet with them, they just have this weird kind of vibe that you don't trust him or her, or they feel very fake, that you feel like, oh my God, they're just so fake, they're so superficial, that you don't make that connection, that they're not genuine? Or have you ever met someone that just the minute you meet with them, you make that instant connection, and then there's that trust, there's that bond, that you feel this person is sincere? The fake ego. Maybe that's you. Maybe that you're very good at putting on this mask. You're very good that in one circumstance you can be this person, in another scenario you become a different person, and then here you become another person. And before you know it, you've done it for so many years, you don't know who you are anymore. You don't know which one is the real you. Which one is the real you? You've lost yourself. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Be yourself. I would rather people hate me for who I am than love me for who I am not. So don't use the fake ego. You don't need it to be successful.
Rule number 21, build great habits.
Successful people have great habits. Unsuccessful people have lousy habits. Habits like smoking, drinking, taking drugs, watching too much TV. You see, successful people are where they are today because of their habits. Habits determine 95% of a person's behavior. Everything that you are today, everything that you will accomplish in the future is determined by the quality of the habits that you form. What I found that is the very best people have the best habits. You see, successful people are simply those with successful habits. Successful habits could be getting up in the morning, meditate, reading, exercising regularly. How many of these habits do you have?
Rule number 22, don't make excuses.
I'm just an introvert. I'm not good with people. And I'm just like, it's okay. I don't like to talk. I'll just be like that. Right? You use that as an excuse. You use that to stay in your own bubble. You use that to stay in your own shell. Guess what? Believe it or not, I was a very, very shy person. I was an introvert. I was the kid. When I was going through high school, I had no friends. I didn't want to talk to people because I couldn't speak the language. I was so afraid. Even now, sometimes when I go to meet a lot of people, I still sometimes have that little bit of awkwardness. It's normal, but I don't let that hold me back. I know if I want to be more successful, if I want to be rich, I have to get outside of my comfort zone. I have to overcome my shyness. That's how I could do what I do. So don't use that, your personality, as an excuse to hold you back.
Rule number 23, redefine failure.
When you are successful, you actually experience failure much faster, much more on a daily basis. But it doesn't matter, because the ones that said yes, that's what builds your business. That's what helps you to achieve your goals. So from now on, I don't want you to think the word failure. I want you to replace the word failure from your vocabulary, from your mind. Instead, use this word, feedback. It is feedback, not failure. It's simply feedback from your customers, from your prospects, from your clients, from the marketplace. Hey, maybe this offer is not what we want, or maybe the price point is not something that they are comfortable with. or maybe the way that you articulate, share your message, you communicate the value, it doesn't resonate with the prospects of the marketplace. Every single action that you take, you're gonna get some, not failure, you're gonna get some feedback. Then you're gonna be able to pivot. You can make changes to your approach. You're gonna learn something from it. So next time, you're gonna do it just a little bit better. And knowing this, the more feedback that you get, the faster you get those feedbacks. We'll talk about fail forward, right? Fail fast. Forget fail fast, it's getting feedback fast. Knowing, hey, this is a waste of time, this doesn't work, no problem. Forget it. Now let me try this. And more feedback. Maybe don't like the feedback, but that's okay. It doesn't work. I know I don't need to waste more time. And then boom, hey, the marketplace, my customers, they like this. Perfect. That's good. Now that's the feedback that you want.
Rule number 24, influence and persuade.
And communication skills come in many forms. I'm talking about writing their email, or writing their social media post, or conducting that meeting, or speaking one-on-one, speaking on the phone, talking with a prospect, or even speaking to large groups of people. All those falls under communication skills. One of the things that I did that changed my life early on in my career is I joined Toastmasters to hone and develop my public speaking skills. I was also learning from a mentor to develop my copywriting skill, which is communication in the written forms. How to use words in print to persuade, influence somebody. So all successful people, they have this one thing in common, the ability to influence, persuade, and inspire other people.
Rule number 25, don't care what others think.
Do you worry how people perceive you? You know you want to do something, but what would people think of that? What would people think of my action? Even deep down you know that's the right thing to do, but you don't do it because you have other people's opinions, ego. You let other people's opinions stop you from doing what you know is the right thing. Those people, they could be your family, they could be your relatives, they could be your friends, they could be your high school buddies. It doesn't matter. It could be social media. You're uploading a video, you're posting on social media, you're making noise, you're getting attention. Suddenly you get a few haters, guess what? You stop. People don't care about you. Haters and trolls who add no value in your life, and some keyboard warriors, some losers, post a comment and you're like, ooh, I guess that hurts my feeling. And you stop doing what is right. You stop doing what is gonna make you successful. Stop. Stop worrying about other people's opinions. It's just their opinions. It doesn't matter. Critics, haters gonna hate. It doesn't matter. You do what you know is right.
Rule number 26, overcome adversity.
When you're going through the adversities, when you're going through all these things, not only put some distance, but another thing that you could do is talk to someone that has already gone through that. One of the things that I'm very fortunate because I have a lot of peers, very successful mentors, people around me that whatever adversity, even today, that I experience, bad that happens, right? Which I still do, that, maybe like I would feel frustrated. I would feel like maybe I'm not so sure what to do. But I would talk to someone. They say talk to a mentor, and he will laugh and say, yep, I experienced that 30 years ago, 35 years ago, and here's what you need to do. And they would share with me my perspective. Suddenly, I don't feel so bad, because what happens is when you experience any kind of problem, any kind of adversity, you think you're the only one in the world that's experiencing this. Not true. I could tell you from experience, a lot of people have experienced the same things. You're much luckier. At least you have a YouTube channel that you could come visit and see and get information and get insights. I didn't have any of that back then.
Rule number 27, learn.
Mark Cuban reads 3 hours a day. Bill Gates reads at least 1 hour per day. I go through 2 to 3 books per week for years now. I'm still constantly learning all the time. And I'm not just talking about reading a book. It could be listening to a podcast, talking to other successful people, getting coaching from your mentors. But successful people, we're always learning and growing, and we never stop. One time I was asking a very successful person out for lunch. He's been very successful for so many years. He's in the merger and acquisition space. He's had multiple successful exits, sold multiple companies at a very young age. When we sat down and we're sitting across each other, and when we had that meal, the first thing that he did is he pulled out a journal and taking notes and started asking me questions, learning. I was the one who wanted to learn from him, but it turns out into a learning session that he's learning from me. I'll never forget that. Because you see, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. The less you know, the more you think you know.
Rule number 28, don't let your ego hold you back.
If you want something done, you gotta do it yourself. Wow, they'll never do it as good as the way that I do it. Oh, I don't trust him, or I don't trust her. If you want something done, you gotta do it yourself. What you're really saying is, I don't trust other people. That is ego. That's a form of ego that holds you back, because nothing great is accomplished just with one person. It requires other people. It requires teamwork. So the do-it-yourself ego, this is probably one of the most common egos that hold most people back, that hold most entrepreneurs back, that's holding them back from going to that next level, because they are control freaks. They have this massive do-it-yourself ego that's holding them back.
Rule number 29, play it smart.
Now, my whole life, I've only had one job in my entire life, working at a supermarket for 1 year. One day I walked into the supermarket, my manager was yelling at me, calling me names, and I got so fed up with it. I said, hey, you. And I walked out. I went home and my mom saw me and she asked me, oh, how come you got off work early? What happened? I said, no, I quit. I don't want to work anymore. It is stupid. It's a waste of time. And my mom was so concerned and so worried. Back then I was making just minimum wage with that job. Now, do I recommend that you do this? You walk into your manager's office, your boss office, and say, hey, I quit. I'm going to now start a business. I'm going to do something else. No, because I put my mom through hell. I put myself through hell. Looking back, would I have done that? I'm not so sure. Now, I burned a ship. I got that. But what I realize is most people are not quite ready for that, or they don't have that tenacity to make it happen just quite yet. So if you're thinking about quitting, if you don't like what you do, and you're frustrated with the people you work with, or you don't like the job, you're not passionate about it, what you need to do is you need to have some kind of a skill set first, what I call high income skill. You need to have a high income skill that produces income for you before you quit. Wouldn't be a smart idea, because when you quit today, let me ask you this, how are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to get income coming in? How do you know the new thing that you're doing is going to work? How do you know? You don't know. So a much smarter way to approach this is to develop your skill first. So when you have a skill that you are selling, you're offering to the marketplace, and you're actually getting paid, you're making money. And I believe the best way to do this is when your high income skill makes you twice as much money compared to your current job that you have right now, that's when you can quit. Then you can do this full time.
Rule number 30, never give up.
If you're down right now, if you're not where you want to be right now, if you're not successful right now, don't worry. Because the signs of success are not obvious. What often looks like a failure on the surface is just a stepping stone towards success. So wherever you are in your journey, you need to realize your adversity is your greatest advantage. Your pain is your greatest tool. Because happiness does not change you, pain does. Comfort does not move you, adversity does. Realize that your toughest times will turn you into the toughest person. What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Don't hide your pain. Don't run away from your struggles. Use it. Turn your pain into fuel. turn your failures into motivation and never, ever give up.
Rule number 31, don't use hope as a strategy.
The most dangerous word that you could use day to day is the word hope. Hope, this word keeps you poor. Think about it. When I talk to an entrepreneur, when I ask them, so what exactly is your marketing strategy? They might say something like, well, Dan, my marketing strategy is I build my business through word of mouth, through referrals. And I always reply, you mean hope? You see, hope is not a strategy. Most people, they hope to grow their business. They hope to get referrals. They hope to generate more income. They hope to have more free time. They hope to start their business. They hope they'll get bank financing for their investments. They hope. Hope is not a strategy. You see, successful people, we don't use hope as a strategy because the minute you use the word hope, what you're saying is you have no power, you have no control over the outcome. Well, I hope it works. I hope this works out. Now, it's one thing to say, hey, I hope you like this video. That's okay. But whenever you say, I hope when you give away that responsibility, you also give away that power. You have no control. You have no choice. When you have no choice, when you have no control, when you have no power, when you cannot decide, you cannot take action and you cannot make that happen.
Rule number 32, know how to close.
Michael Gerber from E-Myth talks about this. Most people, they're actually not entrepreneurs. They are technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure, meaning that they are very good at the technical work, at the thing, but they don't understand how the business works. They do not know how to sell. See, the number one skill that you need as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, is the ability to close. If you don't close sales, you will not bring in revenue. And with no revenue, you don't have a business. And yet, most people, they get into business without developing that skill set. Most people don't know how to communicate. Fewer know how to sell, almost no one knows how to close. When you can close anyone at any time, it means that you have the ability to generate revenue at any moment. Then you can create revenue for your company. And that is the number one skill that you need to make sure that your business is successful.
Rule number 33, be confident.
Successful people are confident in their abilities. You see, the two biggest enemies to success, number one, self-doubt. Number two, fear of the unknown. We struggle with self-doubt. We worry, are we ready for this? Are we good enough? Do we actually have what it takes to succeed? Confidence is nothing more than believing in yourself. And believing in yourself is nothing more than doing the things that you once didn't believe that you could do. You see, confidence comes from competence. It's easy to believe in yourself when everyone believes in you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about believing in yourself when you're not ready. Believing in yourself when no one believes you. Believing in yourself when everyone doubts you that you cannot do it, that you cannot make it, that you don't have what it takes. That is when you need to develop that unshakable self-confidence, that believe that you can do it. And confidence is not the same as arrogance. You see, arrogance is thinking that you're above everybody else. Confidence is knowing that no one is above you. Do you feel confident enough in your own abilities that you can do what it takes? Are you willing to bet on yourself? Not just words, but action. How often you invest in yourself? Are you willing to put everything you have on the line for your goals and for your dreams? Do you bet on yourself or do you procrastinate? Do you hesitate? Are you a perfectionist? Do you suffer from paralysis analysis?
Rule number 34, stop saying I can't.
I can't do it, right? I can't, I don't have time, or I can't afford it. You see, the minute you use the word can't, your brain stops working, stops looking for solutions. The minute you use I can't, well, that's it, I can't do it, right? It robs you of your potential. It robs you of the possibility. Instead, ask yourself, how can I? See, when people say to me, well, I can't start my business, or I can't develop that high income skill, or I can't do that side hustle, or I can't whatever, I always tell them, does that mean that you don't want to do it, or does that mean you don't know how to do it? Because we all have the ability, we could all do something if we want to. Could you do it if you really, really, really want to? Of course you could. So the question is not I can't, is either you don't want to and that's perfectly fine, then don't say I can't, just say I don't want to. When your friends ask you to go out, instead of, well, I can't tonight, don't say I can't, just say, you know what, I've got other commitments. I don't want to go. Just tell them I don't want to go. This is not something I want to do. Or maybe next time, right? Decide, commit. When you say, well, I can't, does that mean you don't know how to do it? Because you could go get the how to. There's so much how to on the internet. You could go find a way, you can take a program, go to an event, learn from a mentor, do something. You have the ability. So replace that word can't with either how can I, or hey, you know what, I can do it. I can start that business. I can learn that skill. I can learn from a mentor, right? I can quit that job. I can go on that vacation. You've got so much more potential if you just believe in yourself.
Rule number 35, invest in yourself first.
Let's take for example that you want to start a Shopify store. Yes, it kind of doesn't cost you a lot, but the inventory costs you money. So you invest the last few $1,000s you have, you go all into this particular venture. Hopefully that it will work. My question is, what if it doesn't work? What if the product doesn't sell? You put all your life savings, the little bit of money that you have into it, and then now what? What do you do? Where do you go from here? You see, instead of doing that and putting all your eggs in one basket, the best thing you can do is start investing in yourself first. Invest in a skill set that you can deliver to the marketplace in exchange of money. This dramatically lowers your risk. And then when that is working, then you can start your business.
Rule number 36, embrace failures.
Successful people embrace failures. Do you embrace failures, or do you take failures personally? You see, successful people, they are ridiculously positive about their future. They always speak positively about their future, where things are going, as if it's already happened. Even though there's no way that it could happen, they believe in themselves, right? They have positive expectations about their future. Walt Disney was fired by a news editor saying that he had no imagination and no creativity. Steven Spielberg was rejected 3 times by film school before getting his huge break. Colonel Sanders, at the age of 56, got rejected 1,000 times for his recipe before a restaurant picks it up. You will notice the most successful people in any field, they are usually the ones who have failed more than anybody else. You see the difference between a successful person and everyone else? It's not a lack of strength, it's not a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of will. Winston Churchill said it best, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm.
Rule number 37, get more customers.
You want to get more customers. We all want more customers so we can generate more revenue. Now, it depends on your business type. You might have a 2-step process, meaning you may not get a customer directly. It may not be a direct sales scenario. It could be a 2-step process where you actually generate a lead. Maybe you generate a lead online and then you convert that lead into a sale, right? It's a 2-step process. So you have the lead generation process and then you have the conversion process. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is that's what you focus on. That's what most entrepreneurs focus on. How do I get more customers? The challenge is if you have been in business for any length of time, that the biggest payoff, sometimes the highest paid leverage points that you have within your business may not be getting more customers because it costs a lot of money to acquire customers nowadays, right? When you're running traffic, when you're doing any kind of advertising, it costs a lot of money to acquire that first initial customer. If you are a startup, yes, then focus on getting customers because you need customers to survive. But if you have been in business for a while, then I want you to consider some of the other ways to increase your revenue, to grow your business.
Rule number 38, be on the right path.
What I'm doing right now, right? This path, is it gonna get me there? right? If you are working at a minimum wage job and you say you want to make 6 figures a year, you want to make, $250,000 a year. Well, what are the chances of whatever you're doing right now that would get you there, right? And if not, doesn't matter what you do. It's just that's the wrong path because this path will never get you there.
Rule number 39, find the right mentors.
When you're watching someone's video, when you are following someone on social media, to me, that is learning, but that's not mentorship. Mentorship is much more intimate. It's much more special. It's not just watching someone passively. So to me, there are a lot of people that you could learn from, and I learned from a lot of people over the years. I read so many books and attend so many workshops and every lunch and dinner and all these people that are business people that I interact with, I learn from them. I hear their stories, I hear their struggles, I hear about their best practices. However, when it comes to mentoring, when it comes to having a mentor, I've only had really now up to this point in my life, 3 mentors in my life. First one, his name is Alan. Alan's my very first mentor. He taught me marketing and copywriting, right? If you've watched my video, you know that. Second, and it's been my mentor since I was 20, in my early 20s, gave me my opportunity, right, to work for him for 1 year for next to nothing. Really, is working for free, but I learned a tremendous amount from him. And he gave me the opportunity. He gave me a chance, right? He believed in me when no one believed in me. My second mentor, Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, right? You might have seen him on YouTube. In fact, I'm going to visit him in Scotland in a couple months. And he was here. If you saw my videos, my interview with him. So he's been my mentor for more than a decade now. That's my second mentor. And my third mentor, my new mentor, Mr. Dwayne Clark. And Dwayne is a super successful man with great values. And so that's my third mentor. So really, I learn from everybody, but when it comes to selecting that right mentor, I'm very, very selective. I want to pick someone that I could learn from for a long time. Because most people, when they pick someone, they see someone on YouTube, they see someone on social media, I want to learn from that person, I want to learn from that person, I want to learn from that person. Well, the problem with that approach is, think of it like martial art. Imagine you are learning, you're taking a lesson, you want to learn boxing this week. Next week, then you learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then the week after you learn Chinese Kung Fu, and then the next month you learn something else. You'll never get good at it. You never get good at anything because you're jumping from one thing to another. Make sense?
Rule number 40, value yourself.
Work for free? Are you a f***ing idiot? Moron. Well, that's one way to handle it when someone asks you to work for free, or can I pay you later when you get results for them? But you can do it better than that. You can deal with the objection with finesse. Keyword of the day, comment below. What's the word? Finesse. It's like Tai Chi. You want to redirect. Don't fight force with force, redirect. Now remember, I used to get this objection quite a bit when I was younger, when I was just starting out in my career, right? When I don't have a track record, then people would ask me, well, Dan, I would pay you later when I get results, or let's try this out, or can you work for free? Like, what the f***, am I like a volunteer, right? I'm a business person here. So what do you do when you get that kind of objection? So I'm gonna give you a couple ways to handle this, okay? If you enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up. Remember, if you watch a lot of my other videos, I think you'll love this video as well. So here we go. Number 1, it's easier to handle that with some kind of a metaphor and some kind of a question, right? A series of questions, and paint a picture in their mind. So when they say, hey, so can you work for free? You might say something like, hey, Mr. Prospect, let me ask you a question here. Let's say you want to buy a Porsche, and you walk up to a Porsche dealership and you say, you know what, I want to take this Porsche here home and I'm going to drive it for a month and just see how I like it, right? And then maybe come back and maybe I'll pay you. Now, if you are the car dealership, you're the owner of this car dealership, what are you going to say to your prospect like that? Well, I'm gonna say, no, that's not how it works. Or no, you're like a stupid idiot. Exactly, right? So that's a very powerful way of using a metaphor to handle it. Another way that I've used a metaphor, this is kind of an interesting one. I would say, hey, Mr. Prospect, let me ask you a question. Have you ever eaten at a restaurant before? Yeah, right? So can you walk up to the restaurant owner and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna have the meal here, and after the meal, I'm gonna go home. I'm not gonna pay, I'm gonna go home and see how I do in the bathroom and see how I like it, what kind of bow movement I have. And then when I come back, I'll see if I wanna pay. Is that how it works? No, that's not how it works at all, right? Like, so there are different ways you can handle it. In a sarcastic but also firm and respectful way, basically telling them indirectly that you value your time. You're telling your prospect that you value your skills and expertise, right? Now, in the beginning, maybe you do have to do a little bit of work pro bono to get some experience. That's not what I'm talking about. Here, we're talking about closing and asking for money up front, right? We're signing a deal, we're signing an agreement, and we're trying to close a deal right here, right now.
Rule number 41, change your environment.
I always say that your willpower is never as powerful as your environment. A lot of times, maybe you want to change, you want to make a new decision, you want to take the leap of faith, you want to do something new, but your environment is not supportive of that. The people around you, your family and friends, they are not supportive of your new goal, your new vision that you have for yourself. Or maybe in terms of your environment, where you live in, that is not supportive of where you want to go. So instead of trying to fight with that, I always say change the environment. Change your environment is much more powerful because your environment is more powerful than your willpower, your discipline. So what can you do to structure and create that environment so that it's easier for you to accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish?
Rule number 42, develop valuable skills.
Instead of thinking now we're no longer in a job economy, we're in a skill economy, that you need to think much more like an independent person with skill set that you offer. It could be to companies or to different businesses or to the marketplace, instead of thinking, oh, a job will provide for you. You need that flexibility, right? Developing what I call that high income skill. And I have a number of videos on YouTube. You can search on YouTube, Dan Lok high income skills, you'll find that. So don't think, oh, I'm seeing the job economy. That job economy, that credentials economy where a piece of paper is not gonna protect you when there's an economic downturn. A piece of paper is not gonna prevent you from being laid off. A piece of paper is not gonna prevent that your industry turn upside down and then this massive change that's happening. It's not gonna protect anybody. What no one can take away is your skill set. The value that you know you could provide to people, to the marketplace, to companies. No one can take that away from you. So focus on skill, not just a job.
Rule number 43, change the way you think about money.
People ask me all the time, Dan, why do you talk about money all the time? You see, there's nothing wrong or evil about money. Money is neutral. Imagine if you enjoy talking about basketball, Raptors, NBA, Canadian team, right? If you enjoy playing basketball or watching basketball, would you be ashamed to talk about basketball with your friends, your buddies? No, you wouldn't. Then why would you be ashamed talking about money? You see, you have a story in your mind right now about health, about success, about life, and also about money. You have a story in your mind right now, and guess who created those stories? Could be your parents, could be your relatives, could be the people that you know, you love, your brothers and sisters, your cousins. It doesn't matter, but you picked up those stories from somewhere. Remember when you were a little kid, the horror story, the scary story, the spooky story, the boogeyman hiding in the closet? Someone planted those thoughts in your mind, and someone planted those thoughts about money in your mind as well, that it's hard to get money, that rich people are bad, that you have to do something bad to make money, and it's one thing to make money, and it's very difficult to keep money, and if you make the money and now you lose it, then you look really, really stupid. It is simply not true. The people who are struggling with money, they're afraid to talk about money. And believe me, they do talk about money. The difference is they argue over money. Do your parents argue over money? Do you argue over money with your loved one, your spouse, your boyfriend and girlfriend? I remember one of the few times in my life that I saw my mom cried was because we ran out of money. So remember, money secret number one, money moves to those who are not afraid to talk about it.
Rule number 44, hold yourself accountable.
Most of us live up to other people's expectations. We don't want to disappoint other people. So let's use that. Don't just rely on your self-discipline. Let's say you have a goal, instead of just keeping that to yourself and say, I'm gonna work on that, and when I get there, then I'm gonna tell other people about it. No, do the opposite. Do what I do. Tell the whole world about it. Declare to the whole world, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do, this is who I want to be, these are my goals, and you tell the whole freaking world about it. The world will hold you accountable. Just like my YouTube channel. I declared in the beginning I'm gonna hit 100,000 subscribers. We did that. I declared to the world we're gonna hit 1 million subscribers by the end of 2018. We did that. Now we declare to the world we're gonna hit 10 million subs. Guess what? We're gonna do that. I don't hide to myself and say, oh, I'm just keep it to myself. This is my goal. No, I'm gonna tell the world, we're gonna do it. You and I, we're gonna do it together. It's the same thing.
Rule number 45, do what you love.
There's this village and the government wants to develop this village. So they send some of the top agents to talk to the chief of this village. And these agents, they showed up to talk to the chief and say, hey, chief, we are planning to spend millions and millions of dollars building infrastructure, helping you to develop this village. And the chief is like, okay, so what are you planning to do? The agents are saying, you know what, chief, here's what we're gonna do. We are going to have some buses. We're gonna send a lot of buses to your village. The chief is like, okay, so why do we need buses? Well, we're gonna have all these buses, we're gonna have you, we're gonna educate you, we're gonna bring your people, and then we're gonna bring them to a school. The chief is asking, well, why do we wanna go to school? The agents are saying, well, when you go to school, you're gonna study different subjects and topics, and so that you could get a diploma or a degree. The chief is like, okay, so what happens after we get the degree and the diploma? Oh, then you'll be able to graduate. You're gonna be able to find a safe, secure job. And the chief is like, okay, so why do we want a safe, secure job? Oh, come on, chief. When you have that safe, secure job, then you're gonna be able to make some money. You make some money, then you can have kids, your people are gonna have kids, and then they're gonna get a house. So, okay, so, and then the chief's like, okay, and then what? Oh, then you get a house and you put aside some money, and then you work many years until you're 65, and guess what, chief? Then you can retire. And the chief is like, okay, then what happens after retirement? What do you mean what happens after retirement? After retirement, you can do whatever you want. You can go fishing, you can spend time with your family, you can go hunting, you can do whatever you want. The chief looks at the agents and saying, I'm doing that right now. I'm fishing and hunting and spending time with my family right now. Why did you go through all this process? The moral of the story is this, that sometimes we are we're so focusing on the goals, and we sometimes forget, why do we want those things in the first place? Here's what I believe. It's a very important lesson I want to share with you. It's not just how much money you make, it's how you make the money. Knowing that money is just a vehicle, it's a mean to an end. At the end of the day, what is it that you're after?
Rule number 46, stop using the word try.
I'll try to do something. Well, I tried. See, when you use the word try, the minute you use that word, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're giving yourself a way out when something doesn't work out. Well, I tried my best. Hey, I tried to call you, man, right? I try. Do this with me. I want you, if you're sitting down, if you're standing up, you're doing something, you're watching me right now, listen to me. I want you to try to walk a step forward. Try to walk a step, take a step. No, I didn't say walk a step. I said try to walk a step towards me. Go ahead. No, I didn't say move a step. I said try. Try to move. No, I did not say move a step. I said try to move a step. You see, the state of trying doesn't exist. It is a made-up bullshit story that we created in our own minds. The state of try, it doesn't exist. Either you do or you don't. There is no such thing. Either you move forward, you take a step forward, or you don't take a step forward. There is no try. Try means nothing. It means nothing happens. So eliminate that word from your vocabulary.
Rule number 47, take action now.
One of the things I teach all my students who are learning closing from me, very simple. I teach them, a role play a day keeps poverty away. Right? Every single day you invest at least 1 hour role playing and honing your skills. It's as that simple. It's an integration. It's not like, well, today I don't feel like I'm gonna role play, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow, and then you procrastinate and you don't do it for a week, and then guilt kicks in and says, oh, I know I should have done that, but I didn't do it. Now if I do it, it's kind of too late, then I look stupid in front of other people. It's all this BS in your mind versus, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do an hour a day. An hour a day role play, period. That's it. There's no thinking. I don't want you to think about it. I don't want you to hesitate. I don't even want you to just integrate it into your life. Every single day, I'm going to do an hour role play, period, if you want to improve your closing skill. You see, it takes all the decisions making out of your thought, all this BS in your mind, take that away and just do that.
Rule number 48, expand.
If you're serving a local market, if you are making money, generate income from just working with and serving people in your city, expand that. So instead of focusing on a local market, how can you take what you do and offer to a more global market? So when there's economic downturn in your country, and I know I have fans in, all over the world, in your country or in your city, you're not depending on it when you are serving people in so many different countries, right? Because usually when there's an economic downturn in this country, this is booming, right? If there's a problem with this country, right, and this is booming. So instead of focusing on a local market, serve a global market.
Rule number 49, don't quit.
Have you had moments in your life when you feel like you just want to give up, that no one is coming to help you? No one is coming to rescue you. Then you've tried everything you possibly could to solve the problem that's in front of you. And just feel like quitting. I've had many of those moments in my life and in my career. As an entrepreneur, I faced various challenges, competitions, problems on a day-to-day basis. And there are many times in my life that I felt maybe I couldn't solve this problem. Maybe I couldn't overcome this. Maybe I should just quit. I'm not going to give you some rah-rah motivational talk and say, hey, just don't give up. Just hang in there. Just don't give up. What I am going to do is to share with you some of the things I've learned when I've gone through a lot of ups and downs in my business career to get to where I am today. That what do you do when you feel like you want to quit? When you feel like quitting, what do? You see, whatever that's in front of you, whatever obstacle that's in front of you right now, and you feel like you have done everything you possibly could, that yes, I have tried everything to overcome this. My question to you is, have you tried everything? Have you talked to enough people? Have you read all the books that you could on this topic? Have you seek mentorship? Have you seek help? Have you done everything you possibly could? Have you taken all the actions that you possibly could to overcome this? Have you? My guess is probably not. Because if you have, you would have already gotten the results. You see, it's never a matter of lack of resources. It's always a lack of resourcefulness. That you're not creative enough, that we are not creative enough, that we don't think outside the box enough. And sometimes when you get so close to your goal, a lot of us, we just give up. We quit when we are this close to achieving that goal. You see, success is on the razor's edge of failure. When you think it couldn't get any worse, when you think it couldn't be worse than what you're going through right now, when you think it couldn't be any tougher, that's when breakthrough happens. Sometimes in life, you break down before you break through.
And rule number 50, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
Stop being such a loser! Thank me later. And clean the damn room.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Dan on how to not follow fake gurus that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. What do you need to stop saying I can't to? Number 2, whose opinions do you need to stop caring about? And number 3, what are the excuses that you need to stop making for yourself? And if you like this video and you're going to take action, give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
Following fake gurus. You see, the great thing about the internet is there's so much information out there. The sad thing about the internet is that nowadays everyone is an expert. Everyone is a guru. They're all telling you to do this and don't do that. Everyone and their brother-in-law and their dog has got an e-commerce store right now. And they're telling you that, hey, just follow my system and you'll live the life of your dreams. My question to you is, if you ask yourself, if you think critically, what qualifies them to give you advice? Most of these so-called experts, they come and go. I've seen it for so many years, right? See, the name of the game is not getting rich. The name of the game is staying rich. Most of these so-called gurus or experts, they kind of fly by night. They do not last. It's like fireworks. A lot of noise and later on, nowhere to be found. Isn't it true? So if you notice, who you learn from is much more important of what you learned. Are they truly proven? Are their models proven to work in different market conditions and in different circumstances? And if you really dig deep, you really think about it, that will eliminate 99% of them. And these gurus are telling you trends that might disappear overnight. Then you're building your future on quicksand instead of on a solid foundation. So ask yourself, are these trends going to be around 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? Hi, this is Dan Lok. If you're a fan of Evan's work, if you want to know exactly how to model my success, I want to invite you to join me for a special online training. All you have to do is click on the link below. You can join me for absolutely no charge. So click on the link below and I will see you in class.
If you want more Dan Lok, check out the other top 50 rules video I made on him. The link is right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
The more you try to chase the money, I want to make the money, I want to make the money. You can see these people, they're so desperate, they don't make money. You don't make money. If your life stinks, it's your fault.